Hey everybody, what's up? Nico again here. And in this episode of 3D Printed Profits, I have with us Kris from Kersey Fabrications on YouTube with a super cool Stark Industries t-shirt.
Appreciate it, man. Good to be here.
Your t-shirt looks way better than mine. I have one of those, but it doesn't have like the Iron Man on the back. Is that what? Yeah,
Yeah. There's an Iron Man in the background.
yeah, mine doesn't. Anyway, so in this episode, we talked to Kris and we talked to him about how he makes money with 3D printing. And as always, all the links to Kris's stuff is going to be in the description below if you're on YouTube. And if you're on your favorite podcast player, it's in the show notes down below. All right. Again, if you guys stay to the very, very end, I give you guys your own product idea so you guys can start your own 3D printing side business. And if you do already have one and you need help building and scaling and growing that, let me know and find me at 3dprinterprofits.com. And we'll go on from there. All right. So, Kris, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm glad you invited me. I'm happy to be here.
Hey, sweet, man. So tell us more about yourself. What's your background, man? Are you an engineer? What's the deal there?
So full-time day job, I'm a software developer. I've been doing that pretty much my whole life. So I've been do mainly embedded software. So kind of, cool things like the Iron Man stuff is second nature to me at this point. Traditionally, I do things like cable set-top boxes, satellite receivers, working on things like cameras, cable routers, anything running Linux I can work on, that kind of thing.
Love Linux. Super easy.
Yeah.
So how'd you get into 3D printing, man? How'd you find out about it?
So my oldest memories of 3D printing come from my mom. My mom's was a high school teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And so she teaches drafting, design, mechanical design, that kind of thing. And so my first introductions with 3D printing was she got some old Stratasys machines in her classroom for the students to play with. And so she'd start bringing home these, and this was probably, 30 years ago, possibly. And she'd start bringing
told everybody your age.
Hey, at this point, I fess up to it. It's hard to hide anymore. But yeah, probably 30 years ago, she'd be bringing home knickknacks and things that they'd print in class, little screws and stuff that the students would design. And so this was them getting into it as like their futures, right? Because she was teaching the next generation of mechanical design, drawings, that kind of thing. Very beginning of what I saw of 3D CAD was coming around at the same time, of course, to facilitate that kind of 3D printing and stuff. And so those were the first ones. And my mom is actually who got me into like doing CAD work. Back then it was all 2D CAD. I didn't get into 3D CAD until after I started with the 3D printers and stuff. But that's who first got me started. And then fast forward, how many years have I been doing 3D printing? 5 or 6 years ago. My son was in middle school and him and his friends were interested in some 3D printing. That's when the ANETs, the A8s were popping up cheap. So I started to do some research on those, and I picked up a couple of kits, one for my son, one for his friend. We spent an entire week in my dining room building those two printer kits together. And that was the beginning of it for me. To actually have something in-house where I could actually start producing ideas I had for products, for projects. That's all I needed, and I sort of hit the ground running at that point.
And how long until you figured out I can make money from selling my prints?
Well, I knew we'd get into it, and I to this day don't sell many prints. That's not how I actually make my money with 3D printing. I don't sell a lot of prints. I've never had an Etsy store. I've sold a handful of prints, just commissions that people have asked me to do, and they'll say, how much will you charge? I like your channel on YouTube and stuff, and how much would you charge to print this for me? And so I've made a handful of money doing that. And the other thing I use it for, that I've made some money on, is making props for a movie or two that I've done. But those are just part of the greater project. They didn't buy a 3D print from me. They bought an idea, and then that was part of the idea.
Awesome. So what is it exactly that you do to make money with 3D printing?
So the bulk of my money from 3D printing comes from my YouTube channel, and that being the sort of gateway into the rest of it. So I think if I were to categorize it, it would just be helping the 3D printing community, and therefore I make money helping people. And what I mean by that is I got into YouTube originally just because I wanted to interact with the 3D printing community. Um, there's I liked making stuff with my printer. I liked being able to um, to start interacting with the people more, but not only interact from like the standpoint of just being able to talk to people, there are forums and stuff like that, but I knew I had information and I had some skills that could help other people. And so I started a 3D printing channel to start to give those skills back that I had acquired about 3D printing, but also about software development and stuff like that. So I started the YouTube channel in order to be able to just share that with people. And then through YouTube, I've been able to you make money obviously through the channel, being on YouTube and being just through their uh, AdSense program.
Hmm.
But then people want to start being able to give back to you, want to be able to help you with what you're doing, and so you start branching out into things like Patreon, where people can contribute to your work, as well as you know when you start doing YouTube channels, you can do affiliate programs through other companies that you're helping to share their products and stuff like that through Amazon, whatever, and you can start making money through that way as well.
Awesome, man. So how do you come up with ideas for your videos? How do you schedule that out? How does that all work?
So in the beginning, it was pretty organic. It was whatever I was doing at the time with my printer or what I was interested in doing with my printer. So most of the first videos on my channel were I set up an Ender 5 and did a review of it. And then I would do a mod of that printer. And so I would walk people through that mod step by step, showing people how that works, and then my results from that upgrade. So it really was about if people didn't know how these upgrades work, if people didn't know how how to install a new extruder on their printer, or how to put a new nozzle on, I would just walk people through that, and it was very organic to me. It's like, what do I want to do next with my printer? And then as you go further along, you may have, if you build a YouTube channel up, if you get people watching you, then it starts growing a little bit more, again, different, because you'll have companies reaching out to you wanting you to show their products and review their products, and then it can grow in that way as well. But ultimately, I do always try to go back to what do I want to talk about, what interests me, and then hoping that the YouTube subscribers or the YouTube community are interested in the same kinds of things.
Gotcha. Cool, man. So you started your YouTube channel. When did you start beginning tractions and start really to see the growth of your channel, where companies are trying to reach out to you and send you money and send you products for review?
Well, I found so early on in my channel, I wanted to focus on, I guess, something that no one else was. So I kind of picked a printer that wasn't getting a lot of play. And
Mm,
again, I started with the
smart.
Ender 5 the day it came out. I saw that that Creality was releasing a new printer. I knew the Ender 3 was already really hot. I never had owned an Ender 3. And so I knew Creality was hot. I'm like, okay, they're releasing Ender 5. They released 10 units. I jumped on it. I'm like, I want one of those 10 units. I bought it the second they released it, got one of the first 10 units, did that review of it. Um, and so it was kind of quick because I was able to put up a YouTube video that didn't have, it wasn't played out already, right? It wasn't the 15th Ender 3 review or the 12th video showing someone how to do something. And so I was doing my best to
Go off the
what I
beaten
still
path, right?
what I still do today, which is if a company contacts me with a printer and says, "Do you want to review this?" I'm like, "Well, you guys already have 18 reviews of this printer out there. I don't think I'm going to add anything to what's already been said." And so to this day, I do my best to like you said, try to blaze the new trail or try to do the thing first, because And so in the beginning, get back to your original question, it was about, okay, I reviewed an Ender 5 first, and then I was doing mods to an Ender 5 when no one else was doing it. And then the Ender 5 Plus, I heard about it coming out. And so
you were trying to just get ahead of everything.
I was always trying to get ahead. And because of that, it was easy to get the views.
Because you were the first and the only one.
Right, exactly. And so that's the way it was early on. And so while a lot of channels that kind of do the general thing or do the thing that they've seen all the other channels do, I found early on that my channel was growing pretty quick, probably faster than a lot of other channels were doing, because I was tackling content or printers that other people weren't doing. So when people use the algorithm and typed in Ender 5 Plus, I want to see who's done something on that, my content would pop up first.
Gotcha.
You've seen other, I mean, there's been some other great examples in the 3D printing community today where they have done the exact same thing. Like when Voron got hot, there were people doing Voron content. And by doing that, they were the ones that popped up when people started searching for it. And so that's a way that even today in the 3D printing community, you can create a niche for yourself because you can tackle content other people haven't done yet.
Gotcha. Sweet, man. So you've been around for a while. You and I have been friends for quite some time.
Yeah.
You've reviewed a bunch of machines. What's your favorite machine?
So to this day, it's the Ender 5 Plus. And honestly, that still makes up the meat of the content on my channel. I would say that the majority of people that find my channel is because they were thinking of an Ender 5 Plus or interested in buying one. And so to this day, I'm still an Ender 5 Plus champion. Do I think that it's the best printer for everyone? No. I think that there are some printers that are easier to use out of the box that are less fiddly. But like for my money, I own 2 of them. And one of them I bought myself. The other one was the review unit I got from Creality from the very beginning. But yeah, I still use it as my workhorse printer, that and my original Ender 5.
So do you have a print farm now?
No, I still don't. And it's mainly due to
how many machines are you up to?
I probably own 30-ish.
That's a farm. That's a farm and a half.
No, but the reason I don't say I don't have a farm, they're not set up.
Okay.
I don't have the space for them. Like other people will get a room dedicated or fill their garage with it. The thing
I know people who have bought buildings.
Yeah.
Bought buildings. I'm looking at you, Uncle Jesse. Buying their own building.
Yeah. And what it is like I have too many different kinds of printers I would rather set up. Like over here to my right, I've got my Ender 5. I've got a couple of resin printers. And then but instead
for all of you on the podcast, this is your time to now go on YouTube and watch so you can actually see what Kris is talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So this is really, I'd rather have a bunch of printers, but keep the ones around that are dedicated to specific needs I have. So my Ender 5, original Ender 5 is my workhorse for small prints. And that's why I keep it around. And I send small prints to it. My Ender 5 Pluses I use for helmets, cosplay, large prints, things like that. When I need detail, I need these resin printers. And so rather than setting up a shelf where I set up 18 of the same machine so that I can easily farm parts out, to me, this is still about making, to be honest, it's more about making than making money still. The money I use is to be able to make.
Gotcha.
If you know what I'm saying. So for me, this has never been a income replacement. If I ever got there and my YouTube channel were to take off or anything, that's fantastic. But that wasn't the goal. This is to fund the hobby. This is to keep the money coming in at this point, to keep the projects coming, because some of the ideas I have for projects are expensive.
Yes.
This thing right here is
that thing right there. We can't say that thing right there. We're on a podcast. So Kris has this really beautiful MK3 Iron Man helmet to the right of him. So if you're on the podcast and you're listening, don't turn it off and go on YouTube. Like if you're driving, please don't do that.
Please don't. No.
Please don't do that. I need you.
I'll be happy to describe what I'm working on.
Yes. Just when you get home or when you get to the office, put it on, but don't watch YouTube when you're driving. All right. So, let's go to you mentioned resin printing. What's your favorite resin printer?
So both of my resin printers and my wash and cure are all Anycubics.
What kind of
And
Anycubic?
so I've got the original Mono X and I've got a Mono X 6K, and those are the things I send them to. I don't really have a preference of one or the other. I guess the 6K is a little higher quality, but just for everyday prop making and prints and stuff like that, they're pretty interchangeable for me.
And what filament? You've tried a lot of filament, Kris. What filament to this day stands out to you as top of the line?
So I go back to two brands off the top of my head. I use the 3D Fuel, which is what I'm using almost exclusively for cosplay and helmet projects these days, is 3D Fuel, their Pro line, which gives you a greater durability, a little bit more heat resistance.
Can people buy this on Amazon?
Yeah, they do sell it on Amazon now. At
Okay.
one point in time, I think you had to go through their website, and their website is, I think, still where you're going to get the deals from, ordering direct.
Okay.
But I do think they sell on Amazon now. I
And what's
tend
the
to
other
buy
one?
it. I tend to buy it when they go on super sale, and I'll buy 3 kilogram spools and stuff.
Gotcha.
But the other one is I'm going to draw a blank on it, and I don't know why. Because I've got too many spools I'm looking at here. It should have been Filament One, and I've been actually using them longer than I've been using 3D Fuel. 3D Fuel's relatively recent. I guess I've been using them probably for a year or so, but Filament One I've been using for years. And it just prints, and it prints perfect every time, and I don't have to worry about it. While cheap PLA is great for when you've got some throwaway prints, I find that these days I don't do a whole lot of throwaway printing. And so I'd rather spend the money on filament I can count on. And so I spend a little bit more on some higher end filament.
Gotcha. So you do a lot of education and teaching on your YouTube channel. Do you teach any design or anything like that on there?
No, I've actually stayed away from design. While I'm pretty decent at mechanical design, I've never done any of the artistic design things like helmet reproductions or anything like that. I've never gotten into that. I enjoy the mechanical design where I can measure something out and go, this piece is 3 millimeters and it's 5 millimeters from this thing. That kind of stuff I really enjoy. But there's a lot of great YouTubers out there already that do the design aspect of like using Fusion 360, which is what I use primarily, and I let them focus on what they're good at, and I stay in my lane on this one.
Awesome, man. So for your YouTube channel, are you doing any marketing for it? How are you getting the word out for your YouTube channel?
So my YouTube channel has always been social media based marketing, and I always do spend some time on making sure that on all the social media platforms I try to put something out these days. So if I take the time to do a video, then it's worth taking the time to do the marketing. And so I will get out there. I will do the Twitter, push, the Facebook push, the Instagram push. Instagram a little less because you can't do the direct links and the descriptions and stuff, and so it's a little harder to get those direct links happening. And then TikTok's a whole different beast, but
Sure is.
I do try to do the marketing. A couple of times I've even gone so far as to do some paid marketing through some of, like a Facebook or something. I don't feel like it really adds a whole lot to it. It was mainly just, testing the waters on some of those, but I've never felt like it draws more than what you'll get just blasting your feeds with it, seeing who else picks it up and shares it, and then, letting YouTube do their pushing.
Gotcha. So what's next for Kersey Fabrications, man? What's what are the plans for the future? What are you trying to build for later?
So where I'm going now, I'm going to do a little bit more of the same. I've got some printers in the queue that I need to review and that I'm pushing out, and I want to make sure that anyone that's come with me along this journey so far that that has really followed me, and one thing we haven't talked about, if you want to, we can talk about in a minute, is Patreon. Patreon supporters, people that have followed me thus far. I don't want to lose those people. I want to make sure that they stick around. So I want to keep going with the mods, with the reviews from time to time. I don't want to just drop off on that. But what I really am passionate about, and where the Kersey Fabrications name came from, was I really want to do more fabrications, more project-based videos, more getting people excited to use their 3D printers for big projects, for dreaming big, for doing like, these aren't just for printing flexi dragons, but you can also like think about what else you can build with them. Think about like dream projects you've had, you know, whether you design it yourself in CAD, whether you hire a designer, you know, use your printer for what you're passionate about. And so I want to do more of that on my channel. And so that's where I'm going with Iron Man. I'm going to be doing a lot more Iron Man stuff on the channel, doing stuff with Iron Man cosplay and the tech of Iron Man that people have never done before.
Awesome. Looking forward to that, man. So you guys, Kris, thank you for being on the show, man. I really, really appreciate it. Fantastic channel. Amazing content. Good luck to you in the future. And like I said, if you guys stay till the very, very end, I'll give you your own product ideas. So you guys can start your own 3D printing side hustle. And today's idea is party favors. Look, you guys, party favors, you can print like little knickknacks for whatever party you guys can think of, whether it's a Pokemon party or a Naruto party or a My Little Pony party. You guys, there's so many things you guys can do with this. And when they buy party favors, you don't buy just one. You buy like 20, 30 of these because they're party favors. And if you sell them at $3-4 for one, and you have 30 of those orders, that's $120 just like that, right? So,
yeah, absolutely.
And how much does it cost to make them? $4 or $5, $20 if that.
Make sure you can print them reliably, print a whole sheet of them at a time.
Yeah, man. So, there you go. Design it in Blender, design it in whatever software you guys want to use, and get going on it. Again, Kris, thank you guys for watching. I really, really appreciate it. If you guys, again, like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe down below. And let's go to bonus content. All right, bonus content. Kris, tell me about that thing to your right.
So this is my Iron Man Mark III helmet. I've always wanted to do an Iron Man Mark III cosplay, but as I was saying, I want to do Iron Man the way that no one's ever done Iron Man before. Do tech that people haven't fully realized. And
before you announce this,
sure,
can I? Because this is going to release later in the future, and I might release this video before your video comes out. Can I record this?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I mean, I've teased it on my other social media platforms. Like, people following me on Instagram and stuff know that this is coming. I haven't revealed all the juicy details, but we'll talk about it here.
All right.
So in this helmet is the first fully realized Iron Man heads-up display.
Shut up, dude.
When you put this on,
no way.
It is, you don't see through the eye slits. The eye slits are closed. These are just cameras and lights. And inside there is basically an augmented reality display system that you're seeing the world through.
No freaking way.
Yep. So that's what I've been working on. It's taken me 1.5 years to write the software, build the hardware, but it's all ready to go. I wore it this weekend at a con.
How did it work?
It worked great. I can walk around in it. I have depth perception. I have a full heads-up display. So if you think about like the Mark II,
yeah, where he had like the
Iron Man movie,
you have Jarvis inside.
It does everything at this point that heads-up display has in it, except Jarvis.
That
so
is
I can't talk.
So
I
sick,
can't
dude.
talk to it yet. It does object detection. It does pan, tilt, altitude.
No freaking way.
GPS. It has all of that in this helmet.
You freaking did it.
Yep.
Atta boy.
So that's where that software development experience has gone into making this helmet.
Man, it helps to have that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's been great.